everyone, welcome back. So today's project, as promised, is going to be some skull art. So the first thing that you're going to need for this project is going to be canvas. Now you can pick whatever size works best for you. Of course, they come in many different sizes and styles. The one that I got was the Artist Loft. It's a 7-piece. So I've got 7 different canvases in here. Looks like this is going to be 11 by 14. So one thing I like about this is that there are 7 because life happens. Not everything's going to come out perfect or as you planned, unfortunately. So it's nice to have this as a backup. Now these are normally $19.99 for the 7-pack at Michael's, but a lot of times they will have canvas sales. These were on the canvas sale for $12.99. Next thing that you're going to need is something to use as your stencil. If you are not an artist like me, I cannot draw barely a stick figure to save my life. So I bought this at 99-cent store so that I can use this skeleton portion here. That way I can use him for my stencil, and he's a nice size to fit on the canvas that I got. Next thing that you're going to need is going to be paint, of course, because we're going to be painting designs on the canvases. For mine, I'm going to do black and purple. Not sure how I want to mingle these. So just got both, since both colors are used in my decor. And these are the Americana acrylic paints by Decor. These I also purchased at Michael's. Like I say, just watch for your ads. These were, I think, less than $2 each. Normally they're about $3 each. You'll also need paint brushes and or foamies. Again, this pack I purchased at Michael's. This was $5 for the pack. It has brushes and foamies, so it's going to be able to be used for the different projects that we're going to be doing. And again, all of these items too are described in the first video, which is the Halloween Crafts 2017, which goes through our supply list for all of our projects. Then using my trusty Dollar Tree construction paper here. So this is going to be what I use just to put my paint on, because I don't have art supplies. I don't normally paint. So this is good just to throw the paint on so I can use that, since I don't have paper plates either. And of course, a pencil that's going to be used to trace on the design. Or the other option I thought of is possibly just doubling this tape over and sticking him on there. Depends on how well that pencil does with the tracing. We'll figure that out. And last but not least is our big item, which is stencil. Again, I explained in the supply video, which is the longer video that's first in the series, when we went through the different supplies that you're going to need, is that when you're going to buy your stencil, there are going to be a lot of different options that you have. The smaller stencils are okay, but if you use a larger stencil like what I've picked here, you can use it for a lot of different purposes. Also, I try to use things as much as possible and be smart with my purchases so that I can use them for the holidays and then also throughout the year just for other projects. So since this isn't Halloween specific, I can use this for this project. I can use it possibly later in painting furniture or cabinets or really anything. If I wanted to do like a fancy pumpkin, I can use this. And the good thing about the size too is you don't have to use it just one way. You can use like maybe this portion or that portion, or you know, just the center on something, just the side on something. So it's a lot more versatile also. This large of a stencil also was a Michael's purchase. At Michael's, I believe it was $16. And then of course, watch the Michael's ads. They are almost always going to have a 40 or 50% coupon on their website. You just go to coupons and then put in your zip code. It shows you what's available in your area. But again, just look for something that's going to be multi-purpose. Use your money wisely. Don't think of just one project. You know, just try to get the most use out of every item you can get. Now the first thing we're going to do, of course, is take our canvases. Once you have your canvas out, you're then going to lay your pattern, stencil, as far as like the skeleton head part of it so far, not the pattern stencil. But you're just going to line that up to where you want it. So I'm going to cut this one out the rest of the way. Got that removed, I can use this again, so we'll keep that to the side. I'm just going to clean up the lines. Alright, so now that I have him cut out to use for my outline, I'm going to center him up on the canvas. Now, of course, if you want to make sure everything's as close as possible to being centered, you can take a tape measure or a ruler and just make sure you have everything exactly the way that you want. Once you have your main design lined up, you're just going to trace that out. And that's the initial pattern that I'm using. I'm also going to need something for his eyes. So I'm now going to take the insert that they had on him. I'm going to center that up and trace out the eye. The only thing is, as I mentioned, the eyes on this cutout that I'm using, they are more Day of the Dead because they have like a floral type thing going on. So what I'm going to do is just follow this around, but round off the tops. Where they don't have so much of a Day of the Dead look. Again, that's just not what I'm going for with him. Now again, like I said, I'm not an artist, so this is very much trial and error for me. Alright, so this is how my guy is going to look as far as the shape that I'm going to be using. Now the next step is you're going to prep your paint. So I'm going to take one of these sheets that I am probably not going to use, like probably green. And I'm going to dab a little bit of paint on this, just enough to get started. That's probably enough right there. About a quarter size drop. See that better? Alright, and then I'm going to take my ginormous stencil. Now, you're going to take your stencil and lay the pattern to whichever way you prefer. For me personally, I am looking for a little more pattern, so I am going to go with the areas that have the smaller portions of pattern. What you're going to do from this point is you're going to take your little sponge and you're going to get some paint on it. Just dab it and then rub off your excess. You don't want high points when you're doing stenciling. And then you're going to use your lines and stay within the lines that you drew out for your pattern. So I'm going to start myself at the outside line, and you're just going to dab the stencil. You're going to get it close to the sides, and you're going to continue this process, of course, all the way around your design. When you come to little detailed parts, like I'm in a portion of the stencil, it's really close to the eyes, it's really small. You can take these wedges that were also in that pack, dab a little bit on the edge, and use that edge to get up in those tight little crevices. And if you do like nice crisp lines, you can do your outline with a brush as well, and then come back in with the stenciling. It's just whatever your preference. As I say in all of my videos, this is meant to be something that's uniquely yours. So obviously you have free reign as to how much or how little you want to do. Just whatever you prefer. Okay, so now that we've filled everything in, we're going to remove our stencil. You'll have something similar to him. Now what I'm then going to do is take the finer detailed brush, and I'm going to outline the portion that I used. I'm just going to outline my design that I initially used, that I stenciled. Once your outline is completed, you'll have your final design. This is one of my little skeleton guys. The only thing, and this is why I say buy multiple canvases, is I wasn't thinking when I laid this stencil down that this kind of looks like a nose and that kind of looks like a mouth. It almost looks like he's some little like frowny guy with a goatee. So he is not my favorite. The other way you can do this project is, which is what's going to be the way that I do my second canvas here, is that you lay out your stencil over the entire canvas.